Jason, welcome to the show. So excited to have you here.
Thanks, Martin. I'm glad to be here. Glad to be the first one back.
Man, me too. I tell you, it's been a long break, but it's been refueling for me. And also to get my office renovated and everything. I'm just really excited to be back in the saddle again. Jason, I've had different guests on this show. I've had an NFL player, guys that have been pro baseball players, but I don't know if I've ever had a retired musician until today. So take us back and tell us that story.
The artist in me is kind of what brought me to where I am today. It Being a musician is in a way it's kind of running your own business as well, selling merch and things like that. When I was a teenager, I was heavily involved in music and I did my own music, did my own bookings, I booked venues for other bands, and got a lot of experience of running a business through that kind of thing. When I came back after high school back to LA, I got involved with some big producers and big time names, and realized that my success was based on everyone else's output. Like, oh, I think that's good. I think that's good. Oh, that sucks. Like, that's not good. So I couldn't do my own thing to see if what I thought was good was going to be good. It was all based on someone else's opinion. So I realized I wasn't going to be successful in someone else's merit. I had to do it on my own. And I got a job working in construction. And as I tried to balance the two of them, the construction just sort of took over. And now we're here.
You mentioned one thing that I have seen a lot, and that is that craftsmen, builders, people in this industry tend to be more on that side, the creative side, maybe a little more on the introverted side. I'm not sure about that, but I can definitely see what you're saying about the musician and the artist, and now you're in construction, and I'm sure that you see parallels.
When I was 19 years old and I started, a famous architect said to me, because he was a drummer and I'm a guitarist, and he said, you don't even know it yet, but you're fitting yourself right into exactly where you need to be. Like, your brain is so fixed on layering things and putting things together and building a song, you have no idea that all those skills that you built doing that are going to fit right in place of building a house and developing. And I kind of put that in my head to say, like that's, it's right. Like, you have a baseline, you have a foundation, you have, your orchestra, you have your framing, you have this, you have that, and all these things have to build appropriately for each other to create a beautiful song or a beautiful house, or, that sort of.
That's awesome. So do you have, how many songs have you wrote?
Probably over 100. I've probably published 60 or 70.
That's awesome. Where can we go to listen to some of your music?
I'd recommend you not. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay.
I got some stuff on Spotify and iTunes. It's all there. Like, I had a band called Three Steps Closer. You can find my newest album on Spotify just under Jason Pietruszka. It's right there. I'm sure you'll find it. Not many other people with that last name.
Okay. That's cool. And I'll try and link to that too in the show notes.
That'd be cool.
Hey, Jason, so I want you to walk us through the transition from doing your own gig musically to starting your own business in construction, because that is not an overnight thing. That's a journey. In fact, many of our listeners are in that journey. Maybe not music, but maybe they're stuck in an office somewhere. They tinker with woodworking in their garage, and they're like, I enjoy this more. I wish I could go on my own. Just walk through that. How did you know when it was time to go on your own?
So I think the biggest thing that I see people struggling with is they say, oh, I want to start a business, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. And they think either, oh, I have to jump right in, or I can't do it yet because I'm going to fail, right? Like, they're too scared to to go all in, or they're not quite sure how to get into it. My thought when I was starting was, I don't care what I do, I don't care how I do it, I just want to learn. I just want to be a part of whatever it is that I'm doing. As long as I can benefit the person that's in front of me, I'm going to be okay. And that was kind of how it all started. I took any opportunity that came my way and I said, I'm there. Whatever you need, you just tell me what to do. And it wasn't just tell me what to do. It was, you need this done, I'm going to figure out how to get it done. I'm going to go to building and safety and do this. And I'm going to go, call up this distributor and just get a price and get it done. Like it wasn't anything other than just taking initiative and learning the mistakes and then getting better at it.
So were you working for a contractor at the time?
Yeah, so I started working, my first job in construction was working for a contractor, and then probably about 6 to 8 months in, I started working for a developer, and that was really where things took off, where I really got a grander idea about how to actually orchestrate things. I wasn't doing demo anymore or swinging a hammer. I was trying to get people in line and orchestrate the building, and then filling in where hey, tile guy, where are you? Show up. No, you're not there. Okay, I'll do it. I'll get it done. I'll finish framing the window, or I'll finish doing this, or I'll finish doing that, because I didn't believe that it came down to somebody else. It was, bottom line, it was my job to get it done. It's just more, can I count on someone else to do it? And if not, put on the tool belt and get it done. At this point today, I'm not doing that anymore, but
When did you know the time was right to start your own business and your own company?
I think it sort of naturally grew into it, where people were saying, hey, can you do this for me? Hey, can you do that for me? Loving the product that I was doing, and saying, I think the first time was somebody said, like, look, I love you. I love what you build. I'm going to leave you alone. Just do this for me. And once we did that, I was like, hey, you know what? Like, if I have enough of a following where people really just want my product, but they want it at a discounted rate because they're buying the property and they're fronting all the money. So I don't need to make as much money on the project. I can just make what a contractor makes. And it was actually a huge learning curve to figure out how contractors have to do this, because I was so focused on the development side and the money that we focus on making there. It's a completely different system. Sean Van Dyke talks about different ways to structure bidding or whatever, and learning that kind of stuff, learning what works. And I'm still in that process of learning what works, like cost plus or overhead or this, like how a solid contract. But it's kind of I think that the best thing to do in that aspect is talking to the client and finding out what they're going to be more comfortable with. Because I found that on my end, I can make any scenario work with whatever they're comfortable with. Most people think, oh, I'll save some money on the cost plus. And I go, not really. Like, it might even cost you more, because you're not going to be considering everything that comes in play. Like, if I have to move an outlet, you're paying for it. If I have to do this, you're paying for it, as opposed to let me eat that or let me do this. So it's a learning curve, and as much advice as people will give you and as much books as you'll read and all those things, it's all happens in the field when you're finding out in reality what you become up against.
Yeah, that's true. What do you wish that you knew back when you started that you had to learn the hard way?
I wish I knew on a business aspect of things, I wish I wasn't as trusting. There's a lot of people that I trusted.
What happened that leads you to tell us about that today?
I mean, I think that's just like not to get too into it. It was just more like that was my biggest thing. Like I should have been more aware of, like if I'm saying this would just be a hypothetical of it. It would be, hey, cabinet guy, where are you today? In the last 2 years I did 30 homes. So when I'm trusting my cabinet guy to be somewhere, I need to be on schedule. I need to be doing things appropriately on the right time track. So, I'll expect someone to be there, and they'll be like, oh, well, this person told me to go here. And then it becomes this trail that I have to follow and, misleading and that sort of stuff. So you so sometimes you have to be trusting, and sometimes you have to be, I don't, to use the word inappropriately, but a boss. Hey, I told you to be here. I don't care what anyone else says. I don't care, what lie you're fabricating. Be where I told you to be. Mm-hmm. I wish I was more like that in the beginning.
So, like, the trust issues are more with people under your authority or the client that you're serving?
More under my authority.
Yeah.
The client stuff is not. I do everything I can to be completely honest, transparent. There's no reason to hide anything. I always found that the worst thing to do is, a client says, hey, where are you today? And if you go, oh, I tried to be there, but I couldn't be there. Or if you go, that sucks. So for the client to hear that, they're just mad. But if I go, listen, I wanted to be there. This guy couldn't show up. This guy couldn't do this. And I wanted to do this, but he couldn't make it happen. Okay, I understand something happened that's wrong, and that's why you're not there today. Where the client will actually be more susceptible to the information and not be as upset, as opposed to a lie just because you're making an excuse for something. So on a client basis, I always try to just keep it real. But with subs and with people that work for me, that's where you have to be more on top of that. And I think that was a learning curve. And also the other thing that I wish from the beginning, I wish I understood more, that I was more interested in working with clients. For a long time, all we did was development, and I shied away from building for people because I was scared of the reaction of, the people being upset. Because you build a beautiful house, someone moves in, they love it. You don't get the frustration of the contractor-client relationship. You get the I love the house, thank you, turnkey, you're done. When you do that for a client, you get all the frustration, you get all the emotions, you get everything that goes through building a house with somebody. And I actually realized that I like that a lot more. I like being, involved with somebody.
Why do you think that is, Jason? Why do you think it is that you like that more?
I like creating. And I think that if someone says, I want this, and I go, I can do that.
And figuring out how to make it happen for them, right?
Yeah. That's exciting to me.
That's cool. So what would you tell someone, another contractor, let's say they met you for coffee and he says, man, I am struggling trusting the guys around me. They're ripping me off or this, that, how would you help someone who is struggling with that?
Fire them.
You just fire them? Just say, okay, I'm moving on?
The biggest thing the reason why they take advantage of you is because they trust you. They think, oh, don't worry, like I'll be there tomorrow and he's not going to care. He'll be happy that I showed up tomorrow or next week. Look, this is finish the job. This is your last one. Like if you don't show up tomorrow, don't show up at all. I'll get somebody else. Like you're one, like you kind of have to make them feel like they're, that's why when you build a very strong relationship, it means a lot to contractors and subs. Like if you meet a contractor and you say, hey, like, can you send me your trim guy? They'll go, no, I don't share my subs. Why? Because it's personal. This is my guy. This is the guy that I trust. every single day to be on my jobs when I need them. And it's a very tough thing to let go of that. So when you find someone that you can't do that with, you go, if you can't be that guy for me, please leave.
Mm-hmm.
I need someone who wants to work for me, who wants to work with me. I treat my guys well. I pay them fair. Like, there's so many reasons that they shouldn't be doing that. So if they're going somewhere else for other business or whatever it is, what do I do about that?
Would you give them any kind of a warning?
Of course, there's always many conversations beforehand. Answer your phone, please. Send me a text. Be responsive. Don't ignore me. Don't be that guy who does that. Because the biggest thing is communication. Tell me honestly, hey, listen, I got an install I'm doing this week, and I won't be able to be there till next week. Now I know that I can schedule other things to get done while I'm waiting for you, as opposed to I was counting on you to be there this week so that I can get other things done next week, and now I have to flip everything around. That sort of stuff. And for people that are finding trouble with that, it's just ask them for communication. And if they don't give it to you, then it's clear that they're not the ones that you need.
You've mentioned orchestration a couple times already. How do you manage your time between sales, estimating, getting the actual work done, and spending quality time with those around you?
If you ask my wife, I try. I wake up early. I get out to the job sites. I try to make meetings even earlier in the day, so that way I try to block my mornings out for meetings, and then that way in the afternoon I have time to check on everything that's going on. And I'll try to hit as many jobs as I can, so that way I know what's happening each day, and then let all the guys know what I saw, what I'm expecting for the next morning. So that way when I come back the next day in the afternoon, that's either happening, not happening, find out why, and then go through that again. And then in the afternoon, I'm doing a lot of the bids. So I'll get home and I'll get home and I'll get on the computer and I'll spend in there 2 hours or 3 hours doing my bidding, doing emails, doing office work, stuff like that. So sometimes I'm able to take a break. My door is right there, so the kids are right there, the wife is right there. I can step out for a dinner. I can step out and hang out with them for a little bit, and then they go upstairs, and I have another hour or so to kind of do that. But there's days when I'll just say, you know what, I'll come back at 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night and do what I need to do, instead of you just kind of have to juggle that whichever way you feel like.
Do you work in the evenings every day? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't do house calls at inappropriate times. If you want me there, be there at a time that works for me, kind of thing. Like, I'm not going to show up at your house at 5 in the afternoon. It's just not going to work for me,
Yeah. It's such a challenge in this industry to block out time like that, because there's always something to do. There's always something to work on. And it's like, man, just balancing that, I
found that by making boundaries for your time, allows people to understand your schedule and then make their schedule work for you, as opposed to, yes, I'm always available. Yes, I'll be there. Yes, I mean, you can ask anyone. I answer my phone more than anybody, and I respond to almost every single text. I'm super responsive. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to show up when you need me to show up. If I'm 15 miles away, I'm not going to haul my butt down to go see you, just that way you can tell me that you need this, that, and the other. No. You need, that's another big thing, is just that communicating appropriately as to what people's expectations are. You set the expectation and they're going to be happy with the expectation. You misset the expectation and they're going to be upset. So that's the biggest thing. And that goes for scheduling as well. You tell someone, hey, send me the plans, I'll bid it out. If you tell them you'll be there, you'll have it for them tomorrow, and it's not there, you made a mistake. But if you say, I'm going to try to get to it this weekend, but most likely I'll have it free by Tuesday. That means that you're giving them the opportunity to say, it might be done. I may actually get the chance to get this done Friday evening. But if I don't, I'm not going to promise you Monday or Sunday. I'm probably going to end up doing it Monday if I don't do it Friday. So you don't want to be putting yourself in any bad position. You want to leave the door open.
Jason, what is the best advice that you've ever been given?
I actually just heard it recently. At least this is the most recent advice that I've gotten that I kind of keep at the top of my head is I pay people for my time, which is a funny way of thinking about it for me. The second I heard it, I said, gosh, that's a really unique way of thinking about it. Because you usually think, I'm paying someone to do a job. If I'm hiring somebody to do something, I'm paying them for that. I'm not paying them for my freedom. But at the end of the day, it's actually what it is. You're saying, I'm going to pay you $150, $160, $200 to go do something so I don't have to go do it, so I can do something else, which actually makes me $300 or $400 or $1,000. So that's kind of the best recent thing is that think about it that way. You're paying people for your own time so you can do something, so you can be more productive in your arena.
Mm-hmm. I like that. So it's freeing up you to do the more expensive, if you will, tasks that you can do, and paying other people to do less expensive tasks so that your time isn't taken up doing those things.
Exactly. And that's also the best way to grow a business, in finding the right people to do those things so that way you can actually be more productive in the other arenas.
So right now in your business, what are some things that only you can do?
The things that I can do. I think that layouts, things like actual functionality of, a question of systematics, like where should we run this to, or how should we frame this, or where do you want this wall to be, things like that. Dealing with client relationships, dealing with the numbers on the back end, like dealing with my office staff in terms of appropriating that kind of stuff, payroll, more of the operations of that sort of stuff, making sure that the general scale is working, and then putting the managers and the employees in place to where they need to be to do it. But thank God at this point, things have begun to kind of become systematic. Like, everyone kind of knows their role and knows how to move across the project in a pretty smooth fashion. There's always hiccups, but.
And that's really nice. Whenever you go on the job to, spend the morning framing, it's because you want to and because you want to clear your head. It's not because you have to.
Yeah, I tell a lot of I do a lot of smaller jobs, like exterior remodeling sometimes, and those jobs that I'm doing are really a vacation for me. It's more like, this is the easy stuff that I can knock out in 2 weeks and say hi, goodbye, and keep going. And it's more like just, this was fun. This was actually a fun project instead of, oh my God, this is wrong, that's wrong, this needs to be fixed, this needs to be moved, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Jason, have you been to the International Builders Show?
No, I went to one LA Expo Builders Show type thing once, and it was nothing what I expected it to be. Mm-hmm. Like, I see all these guys on Instagram that go to these shows, and I'm like, this looks incredible. I want to go to one of those things. I want to be a part of that life, because these guys, the community that we've all been a part of on Instagram is incredible. It's something I did not ever see happening, and then once you kind of get into it, you're like, you can ask these guys anything. They're a part of you. Like they get where you're from. They get where you're going. Listening to guys like you, where you're talking to people like me, and then you get to listen to that and be a part of it and figure out what other people are going through. So that community is really amazing. And I haven't been able to go to any of those shows that at least emulate that scenario.
So in February, the International Builder Show is in Vegas. I wondered if you're going to be able to go to that.
You let me know. I'll be there.
Okay, I'll send you actually on Protractor Podcast website, there's a link in the sidebar that'll take you to the registration page. And I just want to encourage you and also all of our listeners to go to that show because not only is it awesome, I mean there is thousands and thousands and thousands of square feet of the top products and all of that, but also it's a chance to meet up with guys you've met on Instagram. That community every year that I've been going, it's gotten larger and larger. That core community that you were talking about. So it is a lot of fun. You get to meet a lot of people, networking, but then also there's like over 100 tracks of education if you want to up your education, and then there's all the new products and software, and oh man, so.
Yeah, I mean, most of the things that I use, I just picked up like a CRM, but it's one of those things that you're not really sure if it's going to work for you or not. It's the biggest thing to figure out how to get everyone in line.
Which one is it?
The Zoho.
Oh, Zoho CRM?
Yeah.
I've never heard of a builder using that. I actually use the help desk for our website business through Zoho, but this is the first time I've talked to a builder who uses it as a CRM. What do you think of it?
So far, it's just been okay. It hasn't been something that I'm like in love with. The biggest thing is getting people like saying, hey, like this is your job today, or make sure this gets done, or make sure that gets done, and then being able to see if it actually got accomplished. I've heard people use Evernote. Like I haven't gotten into anything huge that I've created a big system for. I'm still sort of trying things out, figuring out what works.
One thing about Zoho is I think that the platform is designed for anybody and everybody across any industry. So it's going to be different from, Builder Trend and Co-Construct and the different the different softwares designed for the industry. But I'm sure that it's definitely something that could be figured out as for a builder for sure. How did you hear about it?
A friend of mine just said, hey, download this app and see if it works for you. Okay. And I was like, all right, give it a shot.
Yes.
Yeah, marketing guy. I guess maybe maybe he uses it for his stuff, so he figured it would work for him. For me, I don't know. Yeah. It's doing somewhat of a job.
So,
but you still got to be on top of your guys, no matter what.
Do they all have the app? Like, do they have access to?
They have the app, and you still have to remind them, hey, did you check? Did you do this? Did you see this? It's not necessarily. You have to train them to actually be using it, because if no one uses it, it's not worth anything.
Yeah. What other apps and software do you use regularly in your business?
I'm going to plug you. I tried out Storio.
Cool. What'd you think?
Definitely cool. It was hard at first, but then But I stopped doing big stories because I felt like I was rambling. So I stopped using it. But it was after the first time using it, you're like, okay, I get this. Like it feels like you're going in reverse when you're putting the stories in, but then you kind of get used to it. You're like, okay, this is fine.
One thing, not only do I like the app for splitting stories apart into 15 or, so that you can upload them seamlessly, but also it reverses the camera so that any logo you have on, people can read it.
That's
or
right.
if you're sitting in your
like,
pickup.
I'm in China. And then, you remember that?
What was that?
You did the story and you're like, I'm in China right now. Because like the camera was reversed. And then you did another one in Storio, and you're like, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not really in China.
I don't remember that. But yeah, like, a lot of people sit in their car or pickup and it makes it look like they're actually sitting on the right hand side of their vehicle.
That's right.
And I'm like, Instagram, it seems like they could just fix that, but they haven't. And so
that's the whole thing. You found a solution and then you brought it to market.
Yeah.
That's the best thing. That's what everyone needs to do. Find problems and make solutions.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true about that app, because that was something I wanted personally. I wanted to be able to split my videos apart and upload them so it was a seamless transition. And the way I was doing it before, man, it took over an hour to do one because I had to go into a video editor and do it all. But so that's one reason that the app is so useful, and I would, whatever success it's had is because it came out of a direct need.
Yeah.
There are people who develop, I want to get in the software market, and so what could I make, and they dream up something that maybe nobody really wants. But for me, this was something I really wanted and would have been willing to pay for just to have. So
yeah, 100%. It's true. Also, I tried out the Phase app, which was a big one that everyone was kind of using, but I realized I don't do that many before and afters.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my stuff is new construction, so I tried it out on like the exterior landscape and hardscape stuff, and it's cool, but it wasn't something that I was like, I really need this thing, so I kind of got rid of it. No other real apps, just heavy on Instagram.
Yeah. What about software in your office?
QuickBooks.
QuickBooks. What else?
Just QuickBooks and Excel. Nothing crazy.
What about design software?
We sub that out.
Okay.
So we use that for CAD or whatever, but we let other guys kind of fill their office with that sort of stuff and send everything back to us to look at.
What do you use for files? Dropbox, Google Drive, iDrive, iCloud. What's your best way to transfer big folders and stuff?
We're not doing that very often.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll use Dropbox every now and again. That's probably the biggest one that we use. But Google Drive definitely most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not transferring such big files. We're going between the architect and the designer and back to us, and probably a few files here and there. Then one big file we send to the printer anyways, so they print it out. They do all that stuff. We don't deal with it too much.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. Let's switch to marketing. How are you currently marketing your business?
We don't spend that much money on marketing. A lot of it has just been word of mouth, or we're seen on the streets.
Okay, let's break this down. Are you still doing development, like building a house and then selling it after it's built?
Yes.
So how do you get those houses sold?
We do. The real estate agent does it. So they do heavy marketing, okay, but I'm not doing that much heavy marketing.
So how do you know then to go into this area and do a development, or how do you know to build a new house? Like, how do you make those decisions?
So when we're deciding to build a house in an area or something like that, it's more, we already know the area, we already know what we're getting into, or we do heavy comps. We check a lot of different numbers to make sure that our back end is going to be right. A lot of it depends on square footage. Anyone who's in construction knows it's all about square footage. So, we're just looking at that numbers. We're saying, okay, if we're buying a lot for $1 million and we put 4,500 square feet on it, what is that going to sell on the back end? And then what's that going to cost us to build, and what's our margin, what's our spread? And, that 2.5% that goes to the real estate agents, they're spending that money on the marketing for the home.
So, you said everybody in this industry knows it's all about square footage. What do you mean by that?
Price per square foot, you do the numbers. Price per square foot on your build, how much does it cost you to build? and how much does it cost you to buy, and how much does it cost you to sell. All those numbers basically give you the map for what it is that's going to equal success for you. You know that you can't buy a 2,000 square foot house and dress it up and make it look pretty and sell it for more money. So you'll buy a 2,000 square foot house for $800,000. You'll put $200,000 into it. When you look to sell it, if it's the same amount of square footage, you're only going to get $1 million for it. You're not going to get 1.5, 1.7, 1.8. You're not going to get that because you didn't increase the value of the property. All you did was put lipstick on it. So you've increased the interior of it, but that square footage is the same. Maybe you'll get what you spent plus your carry costs, or a little bit more just for that little extra zing, but you're not going to get your big spread, which is what I mean. It's all about the square footage. That's why anyone who's doing any sort of construction, they're always looking to say, hey, how do I make this bigger?
Mm-hmm. And now let's switch over to the remodeling side. You were saying word of mouth. Like, do you do any kind of marketing to increase that?
I tried to do like sponsorships on Instagram. I found that it didn't really work that well. Yelp is some sort of a channel, but I'm not putting a lot of money there. Putting $150 to $300 every now and again, and I'm not getting big jobs out of it. I'm getting small jobs out of it, which, in my opinion, don't make it worth it. I have profiles on Houzz. I have profiles on Build, Build.com or BuildZoom. They're all there, but the opportunities that come from those are not really the opportunities I'm looking for. The opportunity I'm looking for are the person that says, "Hey, I saw that house you built. I want that house. I just want it here." Mm-hmm. Or I saw that house you built and I love it. I want this to be a little different. I want that to be a little different. What can you do for me? And those people, those clients are the people that I know that are already interested in me, so I don't have to sell myself too much. They already know what I can do. They already know what I'm capable of. And then going to that next step is a lot easier. Now it's really all about money instead of, are you good enough?
Exactly. How about Instagram? How, besides the networking with other contractors, how has Instagram played a role in your success?
I think it's played a huge role because people see that you're active. People see that you're one, in tune with the jobs you're doing. You're not just there and then leaving. They also see that you're not afraid of sharing. You're not afraid of, if a designer wants to come see my house, just call me up. Come look at the house. Like, it's okay. I want to share it with you. I want to have a conversation with you about it. What did you think of this? What did you think of that? As opposed to some people who hide are saying, we have a secret sauce. Everything is secret sauce. It's all proprietary. None of it is proprietary. None of it is. Everyone can buy the same curtains. Everyone can buy the same tile. Everyone can do the same exact things. It's really just a question of community. And are you willing to share it? That's all. Nick Schaefer said, we show all the good stuff. We don't show any of the bad stuff. And it's hard to show the bad stuff because you're showing flaw. You're saying, oh, look at my job site, it's so messy, or look, I screwed up this tile and I have to redo it. Everyone goes through that. Everyone's doing that every single day. But when you get that courage to show somebody that you're doing it, you're saying, look, like, I screwed up the tile. If this was your house and I screwed up the tile, you better believe that I'd be fixing it the same exact way that I'm fixing my own, or the same way that I'm fixing it for somebody else. Like, that is a huge factor for people to see and go, wow, like, that's who this guy is. He's really doing something that's admirable, I guess. So they get a better feel for who you are before they even meet you. I think that's big.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about finding employees and subcontractors, and how do you go about that?
you get lucky, you find this one guy who works really well,
Yeah.
and you're excited about the progress that they make and how they move forward within the company, and they take on more responsibilities, and they do all these great things, and then you
Then
you
they go
find
off and start their own business.
sure that happens every now and again, but then you find this other guy, and they have their own community. So just as like developers and contractors have their community, marketers have their community, these employees have their own community. You basically say, I've got the, I need this done. Do you need help with it? And they go, yeah, I'm one guy. I can't do this myself. Okay. Do you have a friend that can come help you? Yeah, I do actually. I know a guy. Sure. He brings them along. And all of a sudden, you're keeping both these guys busy for the next 6 months. And then, if we got another two guys, we can do this, we can do that. Okay, we know two more guys. And those four guys will transfer in and out. One will go, one will come in, a new guy will come in, a new guy will leave, and you'll kind of begin to grow them into, I like my main guy, he's great. I like his friend that he brought with him the first time, he's great. And I need to get rid of these two. So do you have any other guys? No, you don't. Okay, right now we're fine. So then another week will come by, and hey, you know what? My friend just quit this job, or he just left here, and you begin to. And then once like they found their groove, you're like, I know I can count on these guys. These guys are going to execute this, they'll execute this, they'll execute this. Great, fantastic. And that's kind of how I've been doing my employment in terms of finding them. I have tried to reach out to see if I can get more managers or more people that have already kind of skilled in terms of making sure people stay on track. That is a much harder goal to obtain because everyone is trained differently. So every time you hire somebody, it's like you're working again because you're working almost double because you're doing their job for them to show them how to do their job, and then hoping that they'll catch on enough to begin to take it on to where you can relieve yourself again and go back to doing what it is you do best.
Man, that is so hard because you need the time freedom yourself, or you need the freedom from that task. So I'm ready to hire somebody that can just go with it. And then, oh man, they're not there. So I got to go either fire them, find somebody else, or fix their way of thinking or whatever. But then if I hire somebody that has no experience, I have to train them. And man, how do you do that?
It's just time. It's time. It's taking that minute to really see what people are capable of. That's kind of one of the main things that I focused on in the last year is actually finding where my employees' strengths are and then keeping them in those lanes. Where if I know that one employee is really good at cleanup, I'm not going to go ask him to set tile for me. Even though he may be capable of setting tile, I don't want to put him in that lane because I know that he'll do way better doing just cleanup. So he's responsible for cleaning all the sawdust up and vacuuming and blowing and making sure all the houses are clean when clients walking through it, things like that. Whereas opposed to, if I set him to do, lay a block wall, it's going to take him 2 weeks instead of another guy who's going to take him 2 days. So finding people's skill sets and keeping them in those lanes, that's another big thing that kind of helps. But that's something you have to kind of give them. You say, hey, you'll come on, but I'm going to give you 2 weeks to really find your groove, find out where you're fitting in, and then give them all those tests to see where they're really going to strive.
What is a book that you recommend and why?
Book that I recommend. Any book that talks about putting effort in. I think a lot of people talk about how to make money or how to structure a business or how to do all the things that kind of people get stuck on. But the main thing, and there's multiple books out there though that may touch upon it, but I think the the best notes are, no matter what you do, it's all going to be your effort. Whatever effort you're putting in is going to be the result of your business. And that's sort of, you know, you don't see that in too many business books. You see that in more motivational books.
Is there a book you've read that fits that?
You know, the last one I read was not really. It was called Capital Gains by Chip Gaines.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just read that one, and that was kind of more on that point of, you know, every hurdle was just another thing in the way that you got to get through. You got to get past. You got to move past it, and it's really up to you. You can say, oh, it was an accounting error, or oh, it was this guy messed up, or that guy didn't show up, or whatever. But like I said in the beginning, when the guy doesn't show up to dig the trench, I dug the trench. I mean that, where it doesn't matter what, it's up to you. It's in your hands to make the next move happen.
Wow. Well, I got one more question for you to wrap this thing up, and that is, what would you tell a young contractor who's just getting started?
To learn, to take advantage of every single opportunity. Don't take on every single job just because you want to take on a job or you want to stay busy. Take on the jobs that you believe you're going to accomplish really well. You know, don't do a job and do it bad. Do a job that you believe is good. Even if the margins are tight, even if you say, you know what, I'm going to, you know, instead of making 30% or 35 or 40%, I want to make 20% so that way I can actually do this job for this person. That's okay. You know, take less money, but know that when you do that job, you're going to do it amazingly. Don't just take on the job to appease somebody or, you know, keep work flowing. That's not the right way to do business. And then learn everything you can.
Nice. Thank you so much, Jason. Where can we follow you online and watch what you're doing?
I have Instagram at JJP Construction and at Shelter Homes LA.
Great. Well, thanks again so much for sharing that with us today. I appreciate it so much.